we have a special guest. We, as in me and Simon, are joined by Richie of Racecourse Ramble. A good round of applause for Richie. Yeah, the crowd goes wild. It's a walk-off home run. No, it's Richie. How are you doing today, mate?
I'm very well. How are you both doing?
So much
Good.
better than last weekend.
Oh, yes. Yeah. 3 points feels so much better the next day than no points.
It does, yeah.
I don't know why.
But the problem is we don't have a whole week to enjoy it. We had that whole week to lament the loss at Stockport. Now we've only got a couple of days before Lincoln. So make the most of 3 point happy days.
Just be nice if Ryan could fix it so that we played every game at home.
I blame Ryan. I blame Rob.
Yeah. That won't rile up any of the opposing fans that already hate Wrexham.
What's your simple take on why we're so shit away?
There's been I've been watching football for 35 odd years, and sometimes you do get a team which just cannot, by no means Wrexham is the worst away record. I think there was one back about maybe 20 years ago. Leeds United didn't win a whole game away from home for the season in the Premier League. And everyone tries these theories and has these, we'll do this, we'll do that differently, we'll do that because we always do that at home and that. And just sometimes it just doesn't come off for you, does it? I think if we hadn't won away from home this season, people would be a little bit more aggrieved. But then it's like you're watching a 5-star performance at home, and then sometimes we just see, I don't know whether it's the atmosphere, but I think Barney made a comment a couple of weeks ago, it's everybody's cup final when we go to their ground. We get half and half scarves, we get sell-out crowds. Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? And it's just something we've got to get used to, I think.
Could it be also player expectations of, there's a set expectation that it's going to be harder on the road, and they could be in their own heads of, okay, here we go. We're not at the Fortress, we're not at home, where other teams that don't have the history that we have recently with the away form may not suffer the same type of mental, the abuse of going on the road.
Yeah, I was looking at, is it when we don't score first type of thing?
Okay.
Rotherham we scored first, Peterborough we scored first, Birmingham we scored first, we just scored far too early because that just upset them. But you look at the other games and you think Stockport 1-0, Stevenage 1-0. Late Norton it was 0-0. So we've not took a hiding, have we? Anyway, let's be fair. And it's just sometimes is it that rubber, that green, and teams frustrate us, teams work us out, but then now and again we can just throw in a fantastic away performance and just think, wow, where's that come from? Charlton was unlucky. We deserved to win that one, really. Again, we scored first, so it's one of them, isn't it? I don't know, is it a theory behind it? Maybe we'd have to review it at the end of the season.
Break down the much vaunted best defence in the league, but again, at home, 3-0 against the best defence. What was the best defence? But, say, Stockport, we barely laid a finger on them. We barely even looked like laying a finger on them. So they outplayed us, they outthought us, and they certainly outran us on last week. So I'm just so glad that the team came back and showed a bit of fight and spirit, and Parky's flung a few changes that all seemed to work wonderfully well, and here we are on a Monday morning in Down Under with a happy 3-point smile.
Yeah.
I think he's got a mental theory, I do, because if we play so bad away from home, then when they come to the racecourse, they don't expect us to be anything special. And then we just bulldoze them and steamroll them, don't we? So maybe that's his thinking, maybe.
Yeah, it's the old Muhammad Ali, the rope-a-dope. He's like, we're getting beat up. No. And then Ali Wrexham wakes up and goes, haha, I'm right here, sucker. And then gives it back to him. Richie, a little bit about yourself for the people that don't know who Richie may be. In your own words, who is Richie? Okay.
I've been supporting Wrexham for 39 years. So we've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and the even worse. And currently, I think this is absolutely fantastic what's actually going on. If this wasn't going on, I wouldn't be on with you guys to start with. and it's just sort of been a complete breath of fresh air from where we were. It wasn't too long ago where I was talking to Wayne from the turf, and we just sort of sat there just thinking, how much worse can we possibly get? Could we actually go even worse? Could we sink to Chester's level? You know, that's how bad it was getting at some point.
Wow.
And then
you shouldn't say that. That's horrible.
And then obviously the whisper, and it came through, and then it's just sort of, it's on a roller coaster, and you just hop on and just enjoy it, and you never know where it's going to take you, because I think there's no ceiling. So we've seen some good players, seen some bad players, some very, very bad players, but it's just great to enjoy promotions, because the last few promotions we've had have been very few and far between. My first one was with the Brian Flynn team.
Ooh, yeah.
With Gary Bennett. So I had seen that one. That was, and what a player Gary Bennett was. Carl Connolly as well. They are some unbelievable, brilliant players. Then obviously seen the one with Dennis Smith's team, which was personally is my favourite team. Okay. Morell, Trundle, Carlos Edwards, Darren Ferguson. That team was, and ironically played 3-5-2, which is quite a coincidence. And then obviously Parky's come in. Obviously knew him from higher teams. Wasn't too much known about his way of playing football. You've seen what some of the ex-teams he's been at, Bolton and Sunderland, what they had to say. Came in and thought, well, these players have come in, so there must be a bit something big's happening. And it was a bit hit and miss, to be honest, at first. You could see there was some quality there. You're just thinking, well, we're not getting the full extent. His first season, I remember going to Torquay away in the January, and we were absolutely terrible. We were awful. And you're just thinking, something's not right here. But then something just clicked. I think maybe signing Ollie, that was the big. He'd been looking for a big man, target man, and that clicked. That brought Mullin got more goals than what he already had. Elliot Lee started playing, and then obviously we had that Grimsby heartbreak. But then you could just tell that they were going to go again, and I think, if anything, the Grimsby game has probably put us in good stead for where we are now, and that sort of, because you don't want to fail, and I think that's what everyone felt it. The players, the staff, the fans, the town, everybody did. And then we just enjoyed an unbelievable time in the National League. You were going to the home games just thinking, is this going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7? That's was the conversation. And that wasn't being big-headed. It was just because we had quality on the pitch. We really did. Obviously not to run as close, but there's just something special now about going to a home game. It's the atmosphere.
So can I jump in? Where do you sit, Richie? Where's your seat?
Well, I've been moving around. I've sat all 4 sides of the ground this year so far. There's not many who've done that, probably.
That's a worldwide tour there.
Yeah. So luckily, it was in the temp stand. Was when it's lovely weather in August. So So I was in the Macron Saturday. I'm in the Macron Tuesday. But for the Barnsley game, I think I'm behind the goal in the tech end. So move around. But it's good sometimes to move around though and get different atmospheres and obviously different people.
You're not a season ticket holder?
No. When they came out, there was other things which had to be paid for, unfortunately. And
life.
It's one of them ones where I missed out. But yeah, we'll all wait for the Kop, and then obviously it'll be a quick dive in, see how everyone swaps seats around and whatever future developments. But I try and get to most games. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. It was a bad joke. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. try and get to most games. I've just booked on and just seen that the Bristol Rovers tickets are coming out, so that's Tuesday morning's job on break. That's going to be a grueler. That is 12:30 on a Saturday, so we'll be leaving about 6:37 probably.
Ooh.
And you often jump on the MH
on the MH travel,
bus?
So that's booked, So
it's a good way to get there, isn't it?
Oh, Mike and Haley are brilliant, absolutely fantastic. You know.
For the people that don't know what that is, what is it?
So obviously the club have their own transport, buses that take you to and from Wrexham, obviously, to the away ground. But Mike and Haley run a bus company, MH Travel, and they go to all the games as well, which I think at the moment, I think they're near enough every bus is sold out till March. People have even booked beyond that as well. So I had to book 3 or 4 with them last week, just to make sure I got on there. And then obviously they reserve your place, tickets come out, and then in the same week you'll just pay for your seat, and then your place is reserved. So,
and around they have a toilet on the bus, and they have food and drink and pies and little perhaps sausage and egg. Perhaps it was a great trip. They do a really
quizzes,
good job.
Music,
Quizzes, the quiz master, Richie the quiz master as well. So it was it's a top trip.
And occasionally you have a Simon and an SJ singing on those.
Yeah, it was like obviously SJ told the story about what we're going to talk about soon, and I was like, obviously talking to Simon, and I was like, yeah, this lady's asked me for one of these, and next thing that lady popped her head from behind and went, that's me.
SJ was sitting right behind me. I know that picture. So that was a great segue. Richie is also known as the sweet-ass dragon man, because he makes the sweet-ass dragons.
Oh, sweet ass.
Okay. Yeah. Sweet ass. One of which he has there a picture, because we don't have SJ with hers here to actually show it up, but he has one that he made earlier.
Oh, yeah.
SJ has one of those with tea lights behind it, with LED tea lights behind the 1864. Oh, there we go.
Look. They were there.
They were there.
This was scripted. It was scripted. I know it was scripted.
It was. But look how sweet ass that is. That's just fantastic.
So, Richie, I'm not asking for anybody else, but I'm going to pretend like, where can people get one of those? But really, I'm just asking myself how I can get one of those.
Yeah, no worries. Obviously, the company I work for, we make them. It was a trial, and I sort of said, let's have a dragon. Let's try and put 1864 on it, and just see what it comes out like. So we did it on our plasma machine. Loved how it turned out, and just thought I'm just going to stick it out on social media and just see what comes of it. Really, if anyone's got any interest. But if anyone does want one, obviously they can just DM me, or I will even give you my email address to put up, my work's email, and it can go through then. And it can just send me an email. We can sort it out. We can do a payment. It can PayPal, or we can do a backs transfer or whatever, and then we can just get it shipped out anywhere in the world. Is what I've been told we can do. So I deal with all the shipping personally as well. So I will obviously make sure I get the best deal possible for anybody.
Hell yeah! And they're powder coated, right?
I must say,
yes, they're powder coated.
Personalised shipping. He knocked on SJ's hotel room door and said, "Here's your dragon."
I can't promise that for everybody, but
it's a guarantee with every purchase.
Responsible for shipping. I will be knocking on your door, handing it over.
It's like we've got a thing over here. We do the postcode lottery. So it's like postcode lottery. So you in the sort of in your close or where you live, the street. You all pay a couple of £, and then you got put in, and a random machine chooses your postcode. If your postcode's chosen, then you share a figure, say £12,000 or £10,000 or whatever it is, amongst you all. Yeah. So that's what it is. It's called the red letter on the red door. So now you'll just be getting knock on the door, and then there's your dragon. There you go.
Yeah. If you want it or not, Richie's showing up there. Richie, so I kind of asked they're powder coated,
yes.
Which for anybody that doesn't know, like that process is absolute quality for a paint job. So if you are applying a powder coat, and not to be like, give me these 7 reasons why powder coat is better than traditional paint or spray. But if people didn't understand the quality of what you're getting, if you purchase that.
Yeah, so basically the process before it gets powder coated, they get sandblasted, which is like a strong thing to remove any sort of stains or marks on the actual product, obviously because they just come off, because they're made from mild steel. So as they come off the machine, obviously there may be a slight sort of thing like a deburr, so we'll just have to just deburr it slightly. But then with the sanding process, obviously makes it a lot smoother, so that you've got no sort of there's no bumps or no cracks or no creaks, and then obviously it'll go into an oven where it will be sprayed, and then the oven obviously the temperature's turned up, and then obviously that's where it'll dry out, and then it's carefully taken out and brought back to the workshop.
And hand-delivered by Ritchie himself. They are a class product. The one I've seen was a class product. It really was, or really is a great job.
Just so, do you know what you said about there was blue tubing on all the sharp bits? That took...
yeah.
That was a process we come across, because we were like... I said, they've got to take it back, take it on an aeroplane. And we were like, right. And then somebody said, oh, we've got some tubing here. So we got an old hose pipe, and we got the snips. And we were literally snipping, cutting, sticking, snipping, snapping, putting it on. So that was come up with a good idea. That was to get it on, and thank God it got home safely.
Yeah, because metal can be sharp. I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard from others. I don't know personally, but
there was a whole other suitcase was bought for the goodies that she bought in Wrexham. So it got pride of place in a brand new suitcase. Was carefully wrapped things around it. So no, it turned up home beautifully well from what I've seen, and she's most appreciative. And it really is a top quality job. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, and I can't speak for the Aussies out there, but over in America we like lights. So the tea light tray. Shelf on the back is absolutely mwah, chef's kiss to that. Richie, I wanted to backtrack on, you were mentioning some of the players from your favorite team, Lee, Morrell, Edwards. Do you think that any of them could fit into this current team, or is it just a different time that is separate from the uniqueness of now?
I would say there is a couple of players who could fit in. I think Lee Trundle gets in any Wrexham team, because he's just what he can do with the football is unreal. The trickery. I think there's maybe a call for Morrell and Trundle. I think you've got to say that, because when they were doing it in League One, which we're at now. They had the successful season in League Two. Unfortunately, they left due to contract issues. But obviously, they were in the team that got relegated from League One. So they played at that level. So I think you could find a spot definitely for Andy Morrell and Lee Trundle.
Nice.
Carlos Edwards is an interesting one.
How good would they be with today's training and nutrition and strength and gyms and things like that, you know?
I think Andy Morrell would be okay, because I think he's a modern professional. I think Lee Trundle can be a professional, but Lee likes a night out, as we all do.
Yeah.
But I think Truns would like a night out in the spotlight. Very similar, I could see when Ollie Palmer was in the back of somebody's car in the boot, or in the trunk. That's definitely something Lee Trundle would have done. Probably.
Thank you for the translation. Yeah,
definitely would have done that. It's difficult because you think Darren Ferguson was obviously who's the Peterborough manager now, was a sort of a stalwart of our midfield for many years as well. Somebody who just plays that killer pass, like the ball at his feet. Running wasn't his game, but he didn't have to run because he had runners round him. So there's one who you think maybe possibly could do a job. And the goalie of that team was Andy Dibble, who's Christian's dad, Christian Dibble, from the first season. Yeah. So he was getting on a bit, I think, when he was playing. He was maybe 38, 39 in that season as a goalie. So
shows you how long we've got left with Arthur, doesn't it? 38, and they're still going as a goalie. So we could have Arthur for another 10 years, 15 years.
20,
20 years, 30 years.
Just got to fix his wrists, and we're good to go.
So, but it's interesting. It is a good conversation because football's changed, isn't it? You know, just from everything, from the way they look after themselves, the nutrition they put inside their body. So it is interesting. You don't get to see, even though there's more social media, more pressure, you don't get to see as much of players out or if they do go out, unless your name's Marcus Rashford, then you're just out all the time and you're always in the headlines. But you don't get to see any players in that sort of, bar the promotion winning nights, you don't get to see them, do you, really, on social media being out, unless somebody slipped up really big time, really, because it's sort of, it's frowned upon, isn't it, now? Really.
Yeah.
And I must say, that's one of the reasons you just see the Premier League players walking on and off their buses, just got the headphones on, no contact with the kiddies, and you just hope we don't get to that, because seeing the players come in and the kids interacting with them before a match is just huge for both the players and the kids.
Yeah.
Definitely. I seen the start. I seen Ipswich play Man United today, and it was interesting to see all the Ipswich players and a mascot each. I think Manchester United had maybe one or two, and the Ipswich mascots, all the players, you've seen them talking to the mascots. So the camera's looking straight down the tunnel, and you can see the Ipswich players all talking to them.
Nice.
I think one at the front had headphones, so the Ipswich captain had headphones on as well. So that's just very similar to what Paul Mullins done last year as well. So that's what you like to see. You know, they understand that people, you know, may have say autism or things like that, and they just sort of interact with them in that way, just to put them in their comfort zone as well. Because for them, it's a massive thing, isn't it? Walking out with their team in front of thousands of people. You know, and they treat it as an honour, don't they, as well? And it's dreams come true for some children, and you want them to enjoy the experience as much as they can.
Yeah.
But Ipswich are the ones we're hoping to replicate, aren't they? The ones that have gone up and up and up, and who have just found themselves in the Premier League for the first time in donkeys. So they're not a standard Premier League team who are up themselves and full of themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Were they 9 years, 10 years on Ipswich on their climb?
Yeah.
I would say they haven't been in the Premier League for 20 years, I think. But they did the back-to-back, did League One to Championship, and then first year Championship up to the Premier League. So there's got a bit of competition, but you never know, do you? Stranger things have happened.
That's the inevitable question that we have to put your feet to the frying pan on. How many years, and we will save this and mark this, your words today, how many years till we're in the Premier League?
I think you have to look at it two ways. You have to look at it as on the pitch and off the pitch, because there's massive infrastructure off the pitch has to happen in the stadium as well. I know Luton, when they went up, they had a big revamp of one of their stands. I think Ipswich have gone through very similar in the summer, and this is what they were saying. They got promoted in May. They had to be ready for August, the third week in August. Now that's a lot of pressure on building companies, construction. But they had to have it, otherwise Sky were like, well, on the Premier League you can't compete. They can help you out by giving you the first few games away, but I think Ipswich were home to Liverpool and they had to be ready for the 12:30 kickoff on, say, August the 16th.
Wow.
And it's a massive. You have to have space for so much media. You have to have media interview rooms. You have to have referees, showers, female and male, because you don't know who you're going to get posted. All these little extra rooms and masseurs and things like that. But for us, I would say, let's go with 2029.
Okay.
I was going to say 5 years. I was going to say
5 years.
So 5 years for the team and 10 years for the off-field.
I think
we need that training ground, don't we?
Ooh.
We do need that training ground. The training ground's a bit of a different, funny one for me, because it was our training ground, and then obviously we had to sell it for assets because we didn't have any money. So we sold it to the university. Why a university would want a training ground is beyond me, because they only had a couple of teams playing football. So then obviously we get it back. The trust tried to get it back, but the university then kept it for so many years and sold it to the FAW. So obviously the Football Association of Wales, so the international team. And then they spend the money and do it up as a North Wales regional training centre. Wrexham are sort of turn up for training. Where are we training today, boss? Oh, we're training at Carden Park or Collier's Park, or we're training at The Rock. it used to be the thing, but now they've sort of settled. It's a fantastic facility as well. It's got grass pitches, 4G pitches, all the training ground facilities are there. So Wrexham predominantly are training there, and I think they've struck a 3-year deal to train there. That's part of the parcel for the next 3 years. So we've got a sort of a solid base to work from. It's not ours. The good thing is Wales don't play, in some aspect, Wales don't play many games in North Wales, which is a shame, obviously, for our supporters who travel down to Cardiff all the time. But if they did, then we would obviously have to make way for them, and we'd move to another pitch. But at the moment, it's near enough ours without it saying Wrexham on it.
And given they broke Jack Marriott, they owe us something.
Well,
So
this is the thing, yeah. They've,
Yeah.
risk assessments and all that, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see with that one, though, whether it becomes a thing of whether we own it and let Wales train there when they need to.
Yeah.
Is that possibly something which needs to be looked at? If it needs to be looked at immediately in the summer, that's obviously a deal that maybe the FAW could say, well, you're tenants, but we'll give you first refusal to buy it. Maybe that's something. I know Rob and Ryan have got massive, huge, bigger plans for it than what the area we've got. I think they want something like 13 pitches with a spa, jacuzzi. They want the full lot for the men and the women to be there, which makes sense if you look at the big teams in the Premier League. Aim high, but finding an area with that kind of space in Wrexham is quite premium.
Not easy.
It's not easy to find at all. So that's a good one. Obviously, the stands, we're going to get more people in. Rob thinks maybe 50,000. We think maybe 25 to 30 would probably
do it.
Probably be about right, I think.
50,000. Wow.
Yeah, that's where. But again, these are only quotes that we've heard from Rob. But there's ambition, and there is ambition, isn't there? That's that's massive. Yeah.
Buying Colliers may be a good out for the FAW to get some money coming in that they can then put into women's football or elsewhere as well. If we're spending $1 million or $2 million to buy the Colliers from them, might give them some money.
It's just where it's situated. You've got a hotel and sort of a family pub restaurant next to it on one side, and then the other side it's got maybe a field, but sort of to the top right hand corner of it is a cemetery as well. So you've obviously got there's not much room to expand, so to speak. There may be a field behind it, I think, but then you've got the 483, then obviously the main sort of dual carriageway into Wrexham. So it's you can't get many more pitches than what you've got there. That's what
so I think that's probably a bit too limiting. The area is a bit too small and limiting.
Yeah, I think it would be for the plans they've got, for what they want to do. It sounds sort of they want a fair few acres of land.
But then the Wales training compound, like that's you got room all around that to grow if you wanted to.
That's what you're saying. There's not a lot.
There's not a lot there where the actual Colliers Park. There's not much. You may get another 2 pitches, but then the actual main building that they use, that's not the biggest building. I think it's got 3 sets.
So the one you see at the front is actually smaller than a larger building.
Yeah. What you see. Okay. Yeah, they've had a little extension to it, but not much. It would need to go up another notch. Like there used to be when I went there, when it was the old training ground, Colliers Park. Obviously, there was a canteen area. I think there was a gym area, table tennis area. There was actually not a jacuzzi. What was it? A sauna. There used to be a sauna, but it didn't work for about 10 years. But obviously, there was one at one point. And they've changed all the area out now completely. I think there is a sort of dining area as such, but it looks out into one of the pitches. But it's not sort of. I don't think we don't eat there. We go back to we go back to the club and eat after training sessions. So it's still. So a lot of work would have to be done there to develop it.
And where do you move the massive bucket hat? Where does that go?
Well, hopefully they'll put one of these outside the new Kop as well. You never know. We obviously we got this is a home game.
A lot of building and planning.
Then we do away games as well.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that works out, doesn't it? Oh, look at that.
There we go. So there we go. So we do away games as well.
2 hats in one.
Yeah. And it's waterproof as well. So it's temporary stand-proof as well.
The Eagles where they've got that temporary pop-up shop. They're talking about putting the offices down there, which may then open up some of the rooms in the lager for the ref room and the female ref room and all the massage rooms and things that they're going to need.
Yeah,
and a sauna.
And a sauna.
Definitely. Yeah. That conversations, obviously you've heard about that. I think it's been said that there's going to be a permanent club shop from March. It hasn't been announced officially, but the club are a little late sometimes in communications because we knew about Barney's contract weeks ago. In the previous international break, I think it was, we knew about that. So we knew he'd signed it. So I just wonder whether by moving there in March, would the offices move when the building of the Kop is taking place, because the Wrexham Lager stand could be next. These are all the conversations that... And it's interesting because some have said about turning of the pitch as well, which is another conversation.
Pitch,
rotate it so that the Macron would then become the home end, and that's just why this is why the development. I've got to take this off; it's too hot. This is why the conversation about the Kop, why it's been there's been new plans for it, is to stretch it lengthwise, because the way it is now, obviously, and then going that way would fill in the corners. So there's a lot of conversations taking place, and
would you have to knock the lager stand down to be able to do that? You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you were turning it, you only keep one side. Yeah.
You'd have to buy the flats. I think that's the other conversation that's taking place.
But they do stick out. Being in town, they stick out like dog's balls, those flats, don't they? It's just been in the wrong spot. Why they weren't built on the other side of that road on their own car park, they had to come over outside the road onto that block of land. Buy it, knock them down, kick them out.
I think they've already got legendary status, Rob and Ryan, and they always will. If they got them flats knocked down, they wouldn't have to buy a drink, pay for a taxi, nothing ever again.
Immortal.
Literally, it would be. It's like one of them special games you used to get on the computer where you had, you had so many lives until you completed the game. They would have one of them.
The
code. That's it. Because to see them flats go down would just be like, the best way to describe it would be like when the Berlin Wall went down. That's probably equivalent to how people would feel about it if them. There
seems to be more and more chatter about it, so hopefully it comes to fruition.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Lincoln game? I reckon this will get out before that. Do you think we're a chance on Tuesday night at home?
We're at home, so we've always got a chance. Yeah, we've always got a chance at home. Always. I think we were all the mindset that yesterday's game was going to be more difficult than what it proved to be, because of, like you said, they got a good defensive record. But I think when we're on it, I don't think anyone can live with us. And I'm saying that even when a team called Birmingham come to us in January, I think if we're on it and we've got the spirit and the crowd are behind us, it's a scary place.
Well, they're invincible. We learned that.
Sheffield United
the play for the Palmer goal from Burton through a couple of centre backs to James in the middle to that long pass out. It was just superb football. No hoof ball, just one touch, beautiful passing from one end of the ground to the other in 15 seconds. Just beautiful to watch.
Proper terrorist football, wasn't it? That's what it was. Obviously. Yeah. Because we get accused of being a hoofball team.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it? It makes us laugh. It really does. I think some Exeter fans have took a bit on social media. Hoofball and giving Ollie Palmer some stick, and the best way to reply to it is put the ball in the back of the net, isn't it?
Right.
But we've got the best winger in the league, and that the assists prove that, don't they?
Yeah.
I think we've got to look at it, and I think Lincoln, it'd be a difficult game. They're a big, strong, physical team. They are, and set pieces will be key for them. But we're not bad at defending set pieces, to be fair. Very rare we'll concede off a corner.
Or
So
scoring
you'd like
from
to
set
think,
pieces either.
yeah,
We're
you'd
pretty
like
good
to
at that.
think that we've got a couple of things. I think it'd be tight. I think, I'll keep the prediction, but I think, like you say, we're at home, and at the moment the feel-good factor's back again, isn't it? Which I think every time we've had a defeat, if we can respond in that way, we're not going to be far away, are we?
Who's up front for Lincoln?
I don't think you change the team.
Keep it. Okay.
Yeah, keep it exactly the same.
Oh, you don't think Mullen comes back in as a starter? Ooh.
No. He's coming off the bench, right?
Yeah. I think even Andy Cannon will be back. I don't think he gets in either.
No. I wouldn't replace Rathbone with Cannon.
And you just think the only way maybe is you've got to think is with James, is obviously he cramped up towards the end because he hadn't played much football. Can he do?
Yeah.
I think he'll start, but maybe he'll come off a little bit earlier. Because 2 games in the space of sort of 3 or 4 days is quite a bit when you haven't played, isn't it? So that's where maybe you'd think there could potentially be a change, but I don't think so.
I don't see O'Connor getting his spot back either. Brunt played so well.
Yeah, he did, and this conversation took place amongst a few of us, which have said, we signed him as a central midfield player. That's why we signed him, and he sort of
O'Connor
by luck,
or Brunt.
O'Connor. By luck, he just had to sit in there, and he fitted in, and we sort of developed attacks from having a left-sided centre back. It just fitted, and then the midfield was playing really well, and you just thought, well, he's a quality player, and we thought, will he ever go back into midfield? You don't know, and then obviously he did come on Saturday in midfield. But I'm agreeing with you. I thought Brunt was fantastic. There was a lot of standout performances yesterday. And I always say, if you've got 6 or 7 of your players, 8 or 10 out of them or more, you should win the game. And I think that was evident on Saturday, really.
And Burton, feel good for the for the time being.
Really good. The defence looks calm with him. He looks assured in what he does.
He comes off the line a bit more than Arthur does, and he's a bit keener to use his body and to punch a bit more. Yeah.
People were said, who was he? And just said he was part of the Plymouth team that got promoted from League One. He's no mug. He's not a young guy who needs developing or has made a few mistakes. I think he's 27, 28. So he's experienced. And I thought, he'd be a great fit with Dan Scarr. They played in the same team together. And then Parky goes and puts O'Connell in, which is great because I think O'Connell did okay yesterday. But you look at them little links, don't you, and you think that makes sense there. They played in the same team together. They were successful together. But isn't this what we want? We want a competitive squad fighting to get into the team. And the guy who goes off, the guy coming on the pitch to replace somebody is exactly the same quality as the guy who's just gone off. And that's where we're really lucky because our squad depth, even with a few injuries now, which we have got, we're still winning games and we're still second in the league. So that just says a lot, doesn't it, about the squad he puts together.
It's always this time, like last year, where the injuries were coming in and we're approaching the transfer window, and you're like, okay, who's leaving and who's staying? Do you have any predictions or any ideas of who you think might be leaving the team, who doesn't have a secure spot?
It's a difficult one because if you'd asked me the question before the Port Vale game, I probably would have given you 2 names. But then them 2 players got injured because they were very close to leaving in August. Well, they both had bids for them in August. So Boyle and Bolton, obviously. I think they haven't had game time, and now obviously they've got an injury. So you could see, well, they may go out on loan to maybe get some game time. Even though that's obviously would have been their aim if they had, because they haven't been playing. But I think now they're coming back from injury. I just think that maybe push that a little bit more for them both to go out and get some game time. And let's be honest, they haven't played a lot of games between them. I think Boyle's played more, obviously, than Bolton. and just it could be that hard luck that the people in their positions have been playing really well. You know, if anyone had ever said to you, "Oh, Bolton's got a chance of starting with Ryan Barnett," maybe at the first game, and then that's all gone, isn't it? That's just the conversation's never going to take place, is it? But
that guy would have to miss a leg.
Yeah,
he's the Billy Waters of this season, Bolton, isn't he? He's just not going to get a game while there's so many class people ahead of him in the lineup.
Yeah.
And Boyle,
you're not replacing Barney.
No, Boyle came from Huddersfield, who were obviously in the Championship, and struggled to get into a League Two team. He played a few games at the start of last season, but he struggled to get in, and then when he did get in, he got sent off at Newport. So then it's sort of, the manager's got to be thinking, do I really want to take that risk? And then obviously he's just sort of played in a few of the cup games, and then obviously he's got injured in the warm-up against Port Vale. So then you think, football's a lot about luck, and he's obviously not got in the luck at the moment. So whereas he may want to have game time, because I think he signed a 3-year contract when he came in. So, you know, the guy who obviously wants to be playing at his age. I think he's 29, so he does want to be. It seems one of them guys who doesn't like sitting on the bench. He likes to be out there earning his corn, type of thing.
I believe it's 29 by birth year, but 48 by hair. I believe it's the
new Turkish hair going. You got the
he's going to go to Turkey and then
it makes you think: has he done a robbery or a burglary at a garage and just grown his hair to hide his identity?
I wasn't thinking Boyle, but the more you talk about it, the more I think about it, the less likely he is to be here after January. I'll put Fletcher out there. I'll be disappointed to see him go, but limited game time and injuries, I can see us listing him in January, especially if we spend $1 million on another striker.
I think it's a toss of a coin, because I think Mendy's in that bracket as well.
Oh yeah.
I think we've got to remember where Jacob Mendy's come from as well. You know, he was playing
climbed the whole way
National League. Yeah. I just don't think. I think because
and he got promoted into the National League, right? Like he was down north or south. Yeah.
Well, I think it's 5 years. He was working on a building site 5 years ago. Yeah. So that just shows, you know, where he's come from, and he's now at a team, you know, second in League One. He's struggling to get in because obviously James McLean's playing very well, and so is Ryan Barnett. But obviously, I think we'd all say that Revan is the backup for either side. If either player was to get injured or suspended, and then you just think, I think he's got an issue with his hamstrings as well. I think because they're the predominant injuries he gets, and I think sometimes it's psychologically, mentally, and physically. If you do them bursts, speed, a sprint, is your hamstrings going to go? I think you've got to try and overcome that. The worst weather to play in now is the winter months with bad hamstrings as well, because they're cold in the start, and I just think. But he's a great lad. He's well liked in the dressing room, around the town. All the fans love him, and I just think, similar to what happened in the summer, sometimes you have to say sort of goodbye to sort of good players, good professionals who we've had, because everybody who's left, not one person has come out and said this was going on, that was going on. And if footballers are unhappy, they've got a tendency to come out and say that wasn't happening, he didn't give me a fair chance, and nobody said that when they've left. If anything, and I'm using Tozer and Luke Young, I think they would jump at the chance when they're older to have a coaching role, to come back in some capacity at the club. They would love that. I think Tozer is even higher up. He's looking at like managing director or some kind of director of football. That's the type of road he wants to go down when he eventually retires, and you know, he would love to be involved, I think, which is great, isn't it, to hear from inside the club, because there's a lot of bad press at other clubs where people leave, don't they, or they've never been given a fair chance. They're training with the youth squad, or you know, we don't hear any of that from our squad. And when they say it's a family, and that's how it's, you know, shown on the documentary, that is literally how it is. They all sort of look after each other. The owners look after the players. You know, you only got to look at what's going on with Anthony Ford at the moment. You know, there's no rush for him to come back. He comes in as and when he feels he can do, but also he realises he can't take liberties, and you know, he's paid to be a professional footballer, but that's obviously comes second to family. You know, that's quite evident. But he's still involved and still plays some games, so it's a tough one, isn't it? It's and squads have to rotate, don't they? You know, the higher you up, and the better standards you've got. But coming in wise, I think we've got to break the bank. I think it's 2 million. Yeah. It's a striker, and I think it's a creative midfield player.
Because you mentioned a handful of midfielders that could be on the way out. So that was going to be the inevitable next question is, you know, are we attacking first the front or the mid? Like, where should we prioritize?
I think you've got to say, I think it's a strike. It's got to be a striker. Obviously, Big John's come in on a short-term contract up front. Yeah. John Daddy. He's looked okay. Mm-hmm. Is he the answer to our problems? He's probably doing a stopgap for us at the moment, I would say. Buying somebody who can put the ball in the back of net, that's the hardest position to fill, isn't it, in any team? Yeah. And especially if they're doing that, is getting the other team to let them go. So, for argument's sake, if Wrexham went to the top goal scorer in League 2, that club is not going to get rid of him for next to nothing. They're going to want $1 million. Then you put Wrexham tax on top of it. Yeah. Because they know Wrexham have got loads of money. It comes 1.4, 1.5, doesn't it? And then it's all about the player pushing through the move, because he's probably going to treble his wages. There's a promotion bonus potentially.
Do you think we're looking down the league, though? We're looking for the best in League 2, or we're looking for somebody from the Championship, or even a kid from the Premier League?
I would say, if we look at, obviously, people are bought now in on loan, in on profiles, and look at profiles. I would like to think our profile is 27 to 28. That's what I would like to look at. Okay. Somebody who's been around, has played maybe 200 odd games. But then, let me mention Fletcher. If, for example, that injury gets any worse, or he had to maybe say enough's enough, I think also we need a young, what I would call a whippersnapper, who's really quick. I think pace is what our team misses.
It's a weird request for Jordy Jones.
Jody Jones from
It's I think we need two strikers, if I'm honest. I think we need somebody. Yeah. I think we need pace off the bench, who after 20 minutes, after 70 minutes gone, last 20, we can put on and absolutely rip shreds out of the opposition defence. And I think if you look at the way Wycombe are playing at the moment, that's the kind of forward line I would like us to have, because they're quick and they cause problems. They rotate.
Is that Fowl? Do you think there was hope for Fowl to be that player, big and quick? But he looks a bit giraffe-like at the moment. A little bit baby giraffe, learning how the legs work still for me.
Or has he been bought with the Championship in mind? If you look at the Jack Marriott situation, Jack Marriott was not a very good player in League 2. Jack Marriott is a League 1 Championship striker. Yeah. Proven. The facts are there. Started the season on fire. So the football, and it's not necessarily to say that we were playing different football in League 1 to what we were in League 2, but I just think the way that other teams have set up, the pace of the game, the understanding. Isn't it ironic that he scored more goals in League 1 than he did in League 2? Maybe he didn't get as much chance in League 2, but he's a clever footballer and knows how to score goals in League 1, doesn't he? So maybe Big Mo is going to have a couple of games and then going to shock us all in the Championship next season.
I would love it.
Yeah. Okay. Please, you heard it here first. Okay.
Yeah. That would. Yeah. If Parky and team, some of the plays that they do, those long plays where they have a player and we're like, what are you doing? You spent all this money and you're not going to play him. And then like Marriott, where he shows up and you're like, okay, that's who he was. They knew exactly who he was. They knew what they were doing. Yeah. But as the game gets faster, there's some of the players that, even though the quality is still here in League One, there's some players where that pace is not going to make it as we continue on. I think Barney, obviously the pace is there. That's not a question mark. He's proved himself. How do you go up leagues and get better as you go up? It's great. It's insane.
It is, and it's an old cliche, isn't it? It's about on the training ground. That's where your hard work and hard yards is put in. Luckily, we've Parky and Steve Parkin have both played, and Aidan Davison as well, the goalkeeper coach, because he played with Bolton in the Premier League, so he's been around players at that level, and they know what it needs to get there. Obviously, you've got to have a hunger in yourself, and I think that's where we're lucky. We haven't sort of got anyone who's sitting there with a big pay packet thinking, this will do me. They're tested. And I think what's happened with Mullin lately goes to show nobody's safe.
Yeah.
Nobody is safe in this team. Maybe McLean, obviously because he's captain, but he wasn't playing well a couple of weeks ago at home, and he got pulled. Him and Mullin got pulled off with 20-25 minutes to go. So that just says to me that there's a good camaraderie in there, and he won't carry anyone, will he, in his squad? He certainly won't do that. He's a very loyal manager, and I think he will always give you a couple of chances, but he's sort of 2 strikes and then you're out type of thing, or I'm going to rotate you around.
I think we saw that with O'Connor. He had a couple of too many long passes out of defence that just cost us in Stockport, and the couple of weeks prior that he said, right, you need a break, and we're going to put not Burton in, Brunt in to let him show what he can do.
But I would have loved to see Burton in that position.
It's got to start with B and an R in it, and it's like, come on, it's early Monday morning, mate.
It's you look at these players who did come in the summer, and they're coming into a successful squad, aren't they? These guys have won 2 promotions, a lot of them, and quality players coming in. So Lewis Brunt, what a fantastic player. Burton's coming in. He's proving how a good goalkeeper he was. They're coming in and they're like, how am I going to get in front of him? Now Parky must say to him, you come in, you be a model professional, you'll get your game time. I can't guarantee it's going to be from game 1. I can't guarantee it's going to be after game 3 or 4. But I will try to give you game time. But when you get in, you've got to take your chance. So that builds a player's appetite up, that they've got to train hard, day in, day out. The modern professional. Obviously, we've got the Parky special test to make sure they're not a certain type of character. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And obviously he's doing right by that, isn't he?
Yeah. You can say dickhead
on this pod. Yeah.
So he does a dickhead test when he meets him. But that, what I mean. That's just the kind of guy that he is. And touch wood, he doesn't get many wrong, does he? That's the.
He's done a great job, because the money's nice and it's good to get reward for effort, but turning up to a good workplace every day is the huge difference, and that point of differentiation that we can make against championship clubs and other League One clubs is we're a fun place to work, and we're a good place to work, a nice place to work. And you got to go there every day of the week, so you might as well enjoy what you're doing.
I think he'll never let it get stale. I think that's the best thing, isn't it? There's always something going on. Obviously, that's just because of our how we are in the media now, and our fan base, and the way that the world media likes to, portray us or build up a story which is never there, or tries to leak something which is completely wrong. Which is, what, it happens to a lot of teams, doesn't it? That's how, look at the big teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona. There's a story every day, isn't there?
Every hour.
They've got newspapers, their own newspapers, just reporting on them alone. So that's just a shout out to the Wrexham leader. We need our own newspaper just on Wrexham, just on the football team.
Yeah. Well, and that's such a good point, because Wrexham already has the detractors and the haters from each level that we've rose through, but there's only going to be more as it continues and goes on, and as more sports and non-sports media outlets are covering Wrexham and Wrexham's story, those put on more of that spotlight of people rooting against and so you get that hate watching that is still watching and still tuning in. But I guess one of the questions is, if we brought in somebody and we got to that level to where we're bringing in a Premier League player, at that point in time, are we no longer the fairy tale story? Are we no longer, are we past that now at this moment? Are we drifted away from what we can say was the underdogs or the Disney story?
They're still, Birmingham is still bigger than us. Wycombe still have more money than us. So we're certainly not the biggest spenders in this league. So we are still underdog-ish, but not compared to the bottom half of the league. But compared to some in the top, definitely. Compared to the Championship,
yeah,
that's next level.
That's like big money, and the best way I describe it is that's like building hotels on Monopoly instead of houses. That's the best best way to describe it. There's big money in the Championship because we're talking like teams that are in the Championship who were in the Premier League. You've only got to look at, let's look at Cardiff and Swansea. They sort of went up in the Premier League, dipped their toe in a little bit, and then come down, and they've been out for so long now. So everyone goes on about a parachute payment when you get relegated, but that only works if you go straight back up. If you don't go straight back up, you've got players on big money contracts. They may have to take a 50% pay cut, which a lot of teams do when they go promoted now to the Premier League. But it's still, if you're on £60,000, £30,000, still a lot of money to find each week for one, isn't it? That's the levels that we're talking about now.
Yeah.
We're not sure what our highest paid players on, but Mo Fowl wouldn't be on bad money, would he? Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And come from West Brom. So, and obviously the costs have got to be found, haven't they, from somewhere to pay the bills. So let's see what happens.
They'll be selling some more kit. They'll be selling more kit. We're buying it all.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why when we got these big sponsors in, big name sponsors, sponsorship deals, that's what, to me, that's called clever marketing, clever management, isn't it? If you can outcast the money to come in from somewhere else, instead of having to go in your own pocket, that's what you should be doing, really.
100%. Wait, not to take up all your time, Richie. Simon, before we get off with Richie, I had one last question, but do you have another question for him before we wrap it up?
What are you going to do on Saturday? What do you do on a week with no football?
Ooh.
This is it. This is a conversation. It's one of them, and you just have to watch. You have to watch the old games on YouTube. That's. It must have been. I was flicking through earlier on, and it came up, and it said Wrexham 3, Notts County 2, and I thought that's a Saturday afternoon job. That is. Sit back, watch it.
Yeah.
Even though you know the results, you sort of know what's coming. So that's the sort of game to watch. That one. Yeah, it's going to be difficult, interesting what to do, because we haven't had it for a long time, where we obviously haven't made it through in the FA Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see what to do, really. It's a
good break for the players, though, because otherwise we would be on the Saturday, Tuesday run. By being on the Saturday, Tuesday, we, squad rotations less needed.
Yeah, and you think that, obviously, if you've got a few knocks, it would give them a bit of a break. Because then they come thick and fast, don't they? After that, so it's just a case of, and obviously Christmas and New Year period is just absolutely mental.
I like the look of our December draw. We've got quite a few teams at the lower half of the table to come up. So if we can do well in December and then spend that $2 million in January, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, there was one name thrown at me yesterday. I should mention that when you said about strikers. Is Patrick Bamford from Leeds.
Ooh.
Okay. That's a name that's been bounded, but
obtainable?
Not on his weekly wage of $45,000 a week. I don't think so. No.
Yeah. That would break headlines if that happened.
Yeah, I think that's a stumbling block. But then we've been linked with Cristiano Ronaldo as well, so that would even more headlines, wouldn't it?
I've seen that rubbish. But given Birmingham paid $15 million for what was he a a defender, a centre-back, we're going to need to be paying some money to pull a striker out of wherever he's going to come from, the Championship or the Premier League. We're going to need to be paying some money.
Yeah, and again, because we don't do loan deals, do we? We don't bring people in on loan.
Not often.
Sort of doesn't go for it.
Yeah.
I think, but we knew he was coming to the end of his contract as well, didn't we? So there's a bit of psychology working in that. We knew his contract was ending that season. So I think are we going to go out and pay £1 million for a striker? Possibly yes. I think is the answer to that. Who it may be. Yeah. This is why the rumour mill is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It'll be somebody who none of us would have thought of. I just hope they're under 32, because that's generally where we're going with strikers.
Okay. So that takes Bale off of the list then. Yeah, okay. So,
and Ronaldo too.
Yeah. Sorry, Ronaldo, Gareth Bale. This isn't your season. Sorry.
You don't fit our age profile anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, now I feel silly for my final wrap-up question, which was just simply, Richie, does pineapples belong on pizza?
Never.
Oh, no Hawaiian for you. Can we get one last view of the sweet ass dragon, please, Richie? And we'll make sure we get all your addresses up, because these are just superb, ladies and gentlemen. Do yourself a favour. Get one or two or even three of them, because they are a beautiful job. They really are.
Well, and they're going to have to get a different one, because I'm going to be sliding in Richie's DMs like he was an Instagram model as soon as this call is over. So everyone else, you're going to have to wait a second.
And what's your OnlyFans? Have you got the OnlyFans? The Dragon doesn't have its own OnlyFans page. Sweet ass Dragon OnlyFans.
Sweet ass Dragon.
I have so many swipe rights for my dragon, it's unreal.
And on that note, gents, Richie, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a pleasure.
For inviting me.
Been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll speak
soon. All right,
soon.
up the town.
Up the town.